Hollywood in its golden age. A time when the silver screen was a beacon of hope and dreams for millions. The allure of Hollywood was irresistible, drawing in aspiring actors, directors, and writers from all corners of the globe. It was a place where fantasies were brought to life, and the impossible seemed within reach. A place of dazzling premieres, glittering stars, and dreams spun into celluloid gold. The red carpets were rolled out for the biggest names in the industry, and the flash of cameras captured moments that would be immortalized in film history. The glamour was palpable, and the excitement was infectious. Every premiere was a grand event, a celebration of creativity and talent. But behind the facade of glamour lurked a darker reality. The bright lights of Hollywood cast long shadows, and in those shadows, secrets festered. The industry was not just about art and entertainment, it was also a battleground for power and control. The same streets that saw the rise of stars also witnessed the murky dealings that kept the industry running. A hidden world of whispered deals, shadowy figures, and the ever-present influence of organized crime. The Mafia, with its roots deep in the underworld, saw Hollywood as a fertile ground for its operations. They moved in the shadows, their presence felt but rarely seen. Their influence extended beyond the nightclubs and smoky rooms, reaching into the very heart of the film industry. This is the story of how the Mafia infiltrated the heart of the American film industry. They saw the potential for immense profits and the opportunity to wield significant power. Through a combination of intimidation, bribery, and strategic alliances, they embedded themselves in the fabric of Hollywood. Their reach was extensive, and their impact was profound. How they used their power to control, extort, and leave their indelible mark on Hollywood. Contracts were signed under duress, and deals were made with a handshake and a threat. The Mafia's methods were ruthless, and their influence was pervasive. They controlled not just the money but also the people, shaping the industry to suit their needs. From the 1930s to the 1980s, the Mafia found a lucrative playground in the booming film industry. The decades saw the rise and fall of many stars, but the Mafia's grip remained steady. They adapted to the changing times, finding new ways to exploit the industry's growth. Their involvement was not just a footnote in history, but a significant chapter in the story of Hollywood. They recognized the potential for immense profits, and saw an opportunity to launder their ill-gotten gains. The film industry, with its complex financial structures and constant flow of money, was the perfect cover. Through investments in studios, production companies, and even individual films, they funneled their dirty money into legitimate enterprises. The lines between legal and illegal blurred, and the Mafia thrived in the gray areas. Hollywood, with its insatiable appetite for capital and its culture of secrecy, proved to be the perfect front. The industry's need for funding and its penchant for discretion created an environment where the Mafia could operate with relative impunity. Behind the gates of studios and the doors of mansions, deals were struck that would shape the future of American cinema. This essay delves into the Mafia's intricate web of influence, exploring their methods, their motives, and the lasting impact they had on the American cinema. It is a tale of manipulation and control, of how an underworld organization managed to infiltrate one of the most glamorous industries in the world. The Mafia's presence in Hollywood was not just about money, it was about power, influence, and the ability to shape culture. The story of the Mafia in Hollywood is a cautionary tale. It serves as a reminder of the dangers of unchecked power and the corrupting influence of greed. The glamour of Hollywood was a perfect cover for the darker activities that took place behind the scenes. The industry's very success made it a target, and the Mafia exploited every opportunity to further their own ends. It is a reminder that even in the most glamorous of settings, darkness can lurk just beneath the surface. The parties, the premieres, the glitz and the glamour were all part of a carefully constructed facade. Beneath it lay a world of intrigue and danger, where the stakes were high and the consequences could be deadly. The story of the Mafia in Hollywood is a testament to the duality of the industry, where light and shadow coexist in a delicate balance. It is a story of ambition, greed, and the corrupting influence of power. The Mafia's involvement in Hollywood was driven by a desire for wealth and control, but it also revealed the darker side of human nature. The industry's brightest stars and most powerful figures were not immune to the temptations of money and influence. The Mafia's story is a reflection of the broader human condition, where ambition can lead to both greatness and downfall. But it is also a story of resilience, as the forces of law and order fought tirelessly to break the mafia's grip on the film industry. The battle against organized crime was long and arduous, but it was also a testament to the strength of justice. Law enforcement agencies, government officials, and industry insiders worked together to expose the mafia's activities and bring them to justice. Their efforts were not in vain, and their legacy is a reminder that even in the face of darkness, there is always hope for light. The rise of Hollywood coincided with the rise of organized crime in America. As the film industry began to flourish, so did the influence of the mafia, intertwining the glitz and glamour of the silver screen with the dark underbelly of crime. Prohibition had given gangsters like Charles Lucky Luciano and Benjamin Bugsy Siegel a taste of wealth and power. These men, who had built their empires on the illegal sale of alcohol, were now looking for new opportunities to expand their influence and maintain their lavish lifestyles. With the end of Prohibition, they sought new avenues for profit. The lucrative business of bootlegging was no longer an option, and they needed to find other ways to invest their ill-gotten gains. Hollywood, with its constant need for capital and its glamorous image, proved irresistible. The burgeoning film industry was in a perpetual state of financial need, always on the lookout for investors to fund their next big project. The film industry was a cash-based business, making it vulnerable to infiltration. Studios often dealt in large sums of money, and the lack of stringent financial regulations made it easy for the mob to launder their money through film productions. Studios needed money to finance their productions, and the mob had plenty of it. This symbiotic relationship allowed the mafia to inject their dirty money into the film industry, while the studios received the necessary funds to create their movies. They were eager to invest their illegal earnings in legitimate businesses, and Hollywood offered the perfect cover. By investing in films, they could clean their money and make a profit at the same time. Moreover, the industry's culture of secrecy and its reliance on personal connections created an environment where the mafia could operate with relative impunity. The close-knit nature of Hollywood meant that deals were often made behind closed doors, away from prying eyes. The mafia's interest in Hollywood was not purely financial. They were also drawn to the allure and excitement of the film industry. The chance to mingle with stars and be part of the glamorous world of movies was a significant attraction. They were drawn to the glamour and excitement of the film industry. The parties, the premieres, the nightclubs. It was a world far removed from the gritty streets where they had made their fortunes. Mobsters rubbed shoulders with movie stars at lavish parties and nightclubs. These social gatherings provided them with opportunities to network and build relationships with influential figures in the industry. They enjoyed the reflected glory of being associated with the most glamorous industry in the world. Being seen with famous actors and actresses gave them a sense of legitimacy and status that they craved. This association provided them with a veneer of legitimacy that they craved. By embedding themselves in the world of Hollywood, they could mask their criminal activities behind a facade of respectability and glamour, making it easier to evade law enforcement and continue their operations. One of the most effective ways the mafia infiltrated Hollywood was through its control of labor unions. This strategy allowed them to wield power over the very heart of the entertainment industry. They targeted unions representing key personnel like actors, writers, and technicians. These were the people who made the magic of Hollywood come to life, and controlling them meant controlling the industry. By infiltrating and controlling these unions, the mafia exerted significant influence over the studios. They could dictate terms and conditions, often to the detriment of the studios and the workers themselves. The mob used intimidation, violence, and extortion to gain control of union leadership. Union leaders who resisted were often met with threats or worse, ensuring that the mafia's grip remained unchallenged. They installed their own people in positions of power, allowing them to manipulate union funds and extort money from studios. This infiltration was not just about power, it was about money, lots of it. Strikes could be called on a whim, bringing expensive productions to a standstill. This was a powerful bargaining chip, as studios could not afford delays in their tight production schedules. Studios were often forced to pay exorbitant sums to the mob to avoid costly delays. These payments were disguised as union dues or other legitimate expenses, but everyone knew where the money was really going. The mafia's grip on the unions was a stranglehold on the industry. It was a classic case of organized crime infiltrating legitimate businesses to exploit them for profit. They used their power to line their own pockets and control the flow of money in Hollywood. This control extended beyond just the unions. It affected every aspect of the industry. This control gave them immense leverage over the studios, forcing them to comply with their demands or face financial ruin. The fear of strikes and the financial losses they could cause made the studios easy targets for extortion. The unions, meant to protect workers' rights, became tools of organized crime. Instead of advocating for better working conditions and fair pay, they were used to further the interests of the mafia. The glamour and glitz of Hollywood masked a darker reality. Behind the scenes, the mafia's influence was pervasive, affecting everyone from the biggest stars to the lowest crew members. Law enforcement agencies were aware of the mafia's activities, but proving their involvement was difficult. The mafia's operations were shrouded in secrecy, and witnesses were often too scared to come forward. Occasionally, high-profile arrests and trials would make headlines, but these were rare. The mafia's influence in Hollywood remained strong for many years, a testament to their cunning and ruthlessness. Despite the mafia's control, Hollywood continued to produce iconic films and entertain millions. The industry's resilience was remarkable, even in the face of such pervasive corruption. Over time, efforts were made to clean up the unions and rid them of mafia influence. These efforts were met with resistance, but slowly, progress was made. Today, the legacy of the mafia's influence on Hollywood unions serves as a cautionary tale. It reminds us of the importance of vigilance and integrity in protecting the rights of workers and the integrity of industries. The mafia's influence extended beyond the studio lots. They controlled a vast network of nightclubs, casinos, and loan sharking operations that catered to the Hollywood elite. These businesses provided a steady stream of income for the mob and served as fronts for their other illicit activities. Hollywood nightclubs became notorious for their connections to organized crime. They were frequented by movie stars, studio executives, and gangsters. These clubs were often used for gambling, prostitution, and drug trafficking. The mob skimmed profits from these establishments, laundering their illegal earnings through seemingly legitimate businesses. Loan sharking was another lucrative racket for the mob in Hollywood. They provided quick cash loans to gamblers, actors, and even studio executives, often at exorbitant interest rates. When borrowers inevitably defaulted, the mob used threats and violence to collect their debts. This created a climate of fear and intimidation, ensuring their grip on those who owed them money.